Incoming message.
How did these companies never have to square up? Because we had the Trix Rabbit, the Nestle Quick Rabbit, they had Roger Rabbit, they had Bugs Bunny.
Don't forget about the monkeys in the Tang.
I didn't even know where you was coming from. I was just looking at all rabbits right now.
Yeah. I'm just giving you the rest of the animals that was out there.
They was throwing a bunch of rabbits at us, man. It was like, yo, how you get that off with nobody suing anybody, man? But, I digress.
What's going on, fam? This is KR Jones of the Off the Strength podcast, and I am here to tell you to like, listen, subscribe, and if you're feeling freaky, visit offthestrength.com. That's where you can go and get more information on us. That's where we can link, we can build, we can connect, and let's make this thing work. Let's start the show.
The gym etiquette, something that's been a topic of conversation before.
I'm rich, bitch.
But in particular, break room etiquette is something that I don't know if we actually spoke about.
Break room?
Break room
Who
etiquette.
still has a break room?
You remember break rooms
I feel like they got cut in the pandemic. We don't have break rooms no more.
They had them in every single gym at a point in time, and some of the behaviors inside these break rooms was something that was really questionable, bro.
Okay, what you want to speak on?
I want to take a look into some gym room etiquette, like the break room etiquette inside the gym, man. So first and foremost, have you ever come across people taking other people's supplements inside the gym?
Taking other people's supplements?
Yeah. Your training locker room wasn't like mine, because somebody will always get hands put on them.
You just went to the break room. Oh, you're talking about like...
The trainers.
The trainers, bro.
Yes.
Oh,
I've seen fights.
It used to go down
protein shakes.
in the break room. Okay, I didn't... When you said break room, I'm thinking like work and cubicle
no,
and like
I'm talking
water
about in
cooler.
The gym. Straight up gym.
Now that I'm caught up to speed...
We're here, same place.
Yes.
Same time.
Okay,
gym
yes.
break room etiquette.
It was wild. First, before we even get into the etiquette of it, it was a luxury gym that I was in specifically, but the break room was an unfinished basement, right?
Yeah, because they don't like y'all.
It was never nothing that was polished or really like done. And there was politics on a locker, right? So my OG had a locker, and then once he left, I graduated and got the locker, but everybody didn't have a locker. Like you could have your stuff on the ground and you might get a roach or an ant or a spider in your bag before your shift is over, or you got a locker.
It was very jail-esque. Yo, I call it top bunks.
Yo,
I want this inside here.
You can have that little bottom.
Yeah.
No, I ain't cleaning it out. But you can,
Right.
I still got some of my stuff in there,
So there's
too.
a shared fridge.
Yes.
And people would habitually overstep the boundaries of what was going on in the shared fridge.
If you say that, I would say more like a college, like mini fridge at that.
And people would eat stuff out of there all the time.
Oh, everything was up for grabs.
I've seen it go into a very hostile situation one time when somebody came in, had a whole meal planned out, came in the back and didn't have a meal. You want to talk about somebody going on?
You start messing with somebody's macronutrients.
That's exactly what it was.
That's a different level of a crime because that's
they got it down to the T.
Yes, like they weighed it out.
Weigh 0.5 of my grams, bro. Ready to fuck somebody up here.
That's a specific person to get irate about a specific thing. That's
but
not.
It's a high level.
That's
irate.
not a hot pocket. You know what I'm saying? That you ain't have nobody leftover spaghetti. You know?
We had one dude that was going so crazy with it. He would just be taking everybody's shit that they started tampering their own food and leaving dummy food in there.
That's how you get caught.
He got jammed up.
You get not diabetes, diarrhea.
He had the bubble guts for sure, bro. Did y'all have the little space where y'all could sleep? The little cot?
Fam,
The
we
napping area?
had a bump bed.
That's what. See,
and they never changed the sheets.
Oh, that's disgusting.
So like, if you went to sleep raw face, you waking up with a pimple, fam. Like legit. Like the next day, you'll see, oh, you took a nap last night. I can see it on your cheek.
I don't know if that's what y'all was passing around, but I'm gonna keep moving on. This is just gonna be different story for different person.
I ain't gonna speak on it too much. Just know I used to put the hood on and I would tie it real tight, and then get a couple towels to wrap around my head and face because I ain't want to make contact with the shit that I was laying on.
So the napping cot was a real thing. Again, I've seen the politics. Yo, you sleeping too late. Yo, it's my turn. I already had it blocked out, Real, again, aggressive behaviors for tiny space that we was competing on.
That's a wild time.
It really was. And last but not least, the highest of all high crimes was tilapia in the microwave.
See, when you put fish in the microwave and heat it up, that should be met with mandatory jail time. Like, there's no way around that. You don't heat up fish in a microwave.
And let's be clear, it was garbage fish to begin with.
So when
not a
when
good
the
meal.
mercury gets the waves, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it just makes a terrible smell, you know. And you should never do that.
What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome back to yet another episode of Off the Strength. We're giving you the inside look into all things wellness culture. I'm a trainer called Tony, and of course with me, I got a gentleman of extraordinary league.
KR Jones is in the building.
That's right, folks. We are back. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all type from near and far, you are now in store for a treat because it's the return of the variety show. That's when we give you our best foot forward. So hopefully you take your best foot forward. You do that two-step, that tango, whatever it is you need to do to make it on through the week. Best goddamn wellness information available.
Yeah.
Brother Jones.
What's the word, dog?
How are you living this week, my friend?
Man, the week has been all over the place, extremely busy, lots of meetings. I was on the bike a lot.
Okay.
You know, so it felt good to be in motion that way. I'm constantly baffled by the idea of, I used to bike to work on the regular. I'm talking like cross a bridge and it'd be cool. And now when I get on the bridge, fam, I am huff and wind. It is not an easy task. It is one of those things where like, this is real work.
It takes a little bit of time to come back to that after like a surgery or like an injury for something that you haven't done with that high level clip. So I too.
You take 6 months off of something you used to do every day, it's going to be difficult to get back in any capacity.
Cardio is one of those quickest things that you'll see the drop to. You know, you'll be able to hold on to the strength for a little bit, but I will talk about that shortly as well, my friend.
Well, how was your week, brother?
You know, it started off with getting some of that cardio reminder on this Giants ride, scouting. So let me tell you how my Sunday started, Kyle. I started off waking up in Brooklyn, riding all the way up to the Bronx. And then from the Bronx, going out and riding all through the other boroughs. Sorry, Staten Island, we never gonna come to you on a bike ride. It's just not gonna happen. But every other borough, we touched down on, bro. And let me tell you, my cardio was definitely at a challenge because, fam, them hills in the Bronx is real.
Every time.
It's never a dull moment up there. And then making it from there over into Queens, back into Brooklyn, and then having to ride back to Queens. Yo, I think I did over 120 miles casually in one day, and my legs was shot after that. And that's how I started the week.
Did you just say 120 miles casually?
In one day, yes. Because I had to go back and forth over the bridge. Once I got to Queens, I went back and forth over the bridge a few times into Manhattan. And man, I'm telling you, I was on Sunday, my legs was done. They needed a whole nother weekend of rest. But continued on into the week, man. I finished my cannabis entrepreneurs class that NYC was hosting. That means I'm going to have my certification to be on the front line for the next round of licensing that's coming up in the city, man.
Yay.
Happy about that. You know, I was very excited to also get a chance to touch down on that breakfast that we went to, man. Hosted by that company Fabric. And shout out to the brother Gary Sue, sugary out there. If you know, you know. And man, it was quite the time, Jones. How'd you feel about that?
I feel like, again, when you are into the space of networking and politicking and just kind of sharing what your goals are, what you're working towards, is always going to be an interesting space. So I was very appreciative to host space with that. The open air food for breakfast, you know, is not really my forte. Buffets and stuff like that, I just kind of gave up after the pandemic, but
You used to be the Golden Corral king over there,
man. Old Country Buffet, Golden Corral. You don't know a good buffet till you was in there and all you can eat space.
No mas. I see where you at, man. But I was happy to see somebody in there that we actually knew. So I got a shout out to Youmie from Flex and Fly. Friends of the show would know that she was definitely somebody that we connected to and had a good interaction with at that Take Space event.
Yay.
You know, and Kyle, I was really appreciative of the energy that she showed us, man. You know, seeing us as cultivators of the community and specifically as people who really know how to keep their fingers on the pulse of what men's wellness is was something that I walked away with feeling appreciated, man.
Definitely. I mean, when someone sees something in you that you don't even necessarily see for yourself, that's always a great space to be in. And I'm appreciative of her pouring into us like that, man. Somebody that's actually out here making moves, on the move, on the go, flex and flying.
Actually flying.
You got to be in support of that.
You know, and it led me down a path to looking into this men's wellness, specifically what's trending in the searches, Kyle. And that's going to lead me into the Ask the Professionals this week, my brother.
Okay, what you got for us?
Did you know that one of the things that men in our age group specifically are concerned about, Kyle, is the loss of muscle and maintaining their strength as they start to get into their elder statesmen in the wellness industry?
Where I'm from, Tone, we got that grown man strength.
What the hell does that even mean?
Exactly. It's like after you reach a certain age, you just got that grown man strength. We're like, I don't gotta be in the gym, but if my life is on the line, god damn it, it's gonna be him or me. It ain't gonna be me.
As men of a certain age have an issue with maintaining muscle, their concerns, Kyle, around what the stuff that they're looking for, building muscle after 40, preventing muscle loss, or even the very popular now testosterone replacement therapy is something that people are looking for. I wanted to know, as a professional, what are some of your tips to avoid muscle loss and to maintain strength, that grown man strength that you're talking about? How do you maintain that as you're getting a little bit older in your lifting career?
Man, you gotta stay koofy smacking for one. You know what I'm saying? That's first and foremost. You gotta keep a good koofy smack readily available in your repertoire. But on the real, when I'm thinking about men over 40, I'm not 40, but knocking at that door sooner than later in preparation for, I would say it really does come down to having a routine, some exercise, and I would just say as a baseline measurement, your own body weight. We often give calisthenics a bad rap because majority of the time it's seen as like penitentiary and institutionalized working out, but it really does allow for you to maintain things like your strength and your testosterone, especially as you get into that elder statesman age bracket that you were talking about, and being able to control your body, your own body weight is always going to be, a good space for you to continue to proliferate what your healthiness and your healthy lifestyle could be.
I definitely like that, and I appreciate that. Some of the things that I want to just put people onto is really evaluating what your gym routine is. If you got the same routine that you've had since you were 15 years old.
I've been doing this since 10th grade. This is how you get my calf muscles.
Let me let you know where you're messing up first.
This is how my chest look like this. I wake up and do 200 push-ups every morning.
So the first thing that I want to do is let everybody know, don't be afraid to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
You can redo some stuff just because.
Or learn.
Yeah, learn some new skills.
That's not a real push-up. I'm calling you out right now. Whoever you are, that little half push-up, it's not a real push-up.
They're giving you the puppy pumps, man. You know,
we call that Chihuahua pumping where I'm from, and we don't respect it.
So progressive overload is a real thing.
Yes.
And taking your body through a full range of motion is going to be one of the best ways to get you to be strong through a full range of motion, right? Don't be afraid to start from the beginning, meaning that, hey, every Monday doesn't have to be International Chest Day. We could switch some shit up. You can learn different reps and schemes and try to play around with different actual strategies to build strength and keep muscle. So if you've never done that before, here's your chance, you know? Go ahead, Kyle.
Pardon my left. But put the chest away. Work on your ass. Yo. You know what I'm saying?
That is KR Jones
Your
underscore.
glutes not even firing. You don't work your legs. Your hips is weak. Your whole pelvic girdle as a whole just ain't even active. You get what I'm saying? You need to do some Kegels and put the barbell down on chest day.
That is KR Jones underscore. He's giving you all of the pelvic integrity musculature that you need to be getting into. I appreciate you keeping people exactly where they need to be, Kyle.
It's giving them what they need, man.
Speaking of giving them what they need, we're going to get into a little bit of this good.
Okay.
We're going to get into a little bit of the bad.
All right.
And then it's time to talk about a little bit of the ugly, Kyle. That's right. It's time for this week's episode of Rip from the Headlines.
Okay.
And Brother Jones,
What's the word?
I'm starting out with a sense of praise this week.
Praise?
Praise, yes. Last week, you might recall that I was very critical of the attitude that you showed me after being right about a certain assumption that I came in with after taking your class. Is that correct?
You would have to refresh my memory.
So there was a level of tone and hostility that I was crediting you with, and I said that you was being particularly in a mood, tiffed, if you will.
All right.
You know what? If I could call you out for those moments, I also got to give you praise, Kyle. So I'm going to pull that back, and I'm going to give you praise for being not only the spiritual advisor, but I'm going to give you praise for being Nostradamus-like in your predictions, my friend.
Go ahead and tell the people what I said,
Now,
Tony.
there's one prediction in particular about a certain hip-hop star that you saw long before anybody else saw, and I have to give you praise for this. Now, do you know who I'm talking about?
I mean, are we talking about Meg the Stallion?
We are talking about Megan Thee Stallion, Kyle. Now, did you see this week her in Women's Health magazine?
I didn't, but I definitely seen her twerking video.
That is also something that we have to shout her out for. She is doing the community's work, and we have to salute you, Megan,
Left
and
cheek,
all the
right
good that you're
cheek.
doing.
You know what I'm saying?
She is letting workouts go to a whole new level, and I have to give her praise as the best of the good.
She looking like she invented a bounce that ass, Tone. I'm sorry. Continue.
That's it. I ain't got no more on the story.
That's all we was talking about?
What's your thoughts about her and women's health, man?
Man, I do think that she had the momentum and the power to make that change, especially when you look at her still being in college, when she started to rise up and her star was elevating. Fam, I knew that in order to get the hot girl summer, the workout was the only missing element to that piece. And now everybody's caught up to speed. So I'm just happy to see her levels of fitness continue to show. And that last challenge she put out there, I seen them calling ladies out. So it looks to be another one of those summers.
They doing the community's work. And I got to salute anybody that's getting fitness happening like that. I got to give them the salute all the way through, my man. Praise to you, Megan.
You did it.
In other news, Kyle, did you see that this week a man by the name of Russ Cook was the first person to run the entire length of Africa, my friend?
Nah, fam.
So this grueling quest, Kyle.
Stop it right there. Run the entire length of Africa. Yes. I just want to put a pin in that because people don't even understand how big Africa is
exactly
as a whole. And they've lied to us on the maps like and make it look smaller than what it really is. Nah, fam. He ran the whole length.
From the bottom all the way up to the top. He has done this in 352 days, covering up to 10 kilometers.
352?
352 days.
Tom, how many days is it in a year,
16
fam?
countries he had to traverse.
How many days is it in a year?
365.
This man got time to take a year of his life to running from the bottom to the top.
Well, he ran into a little bit of trouble, so you got to hear the story out fully. So originally, it was slated to finish in about 240 days, but unfortunately, Russ Cook ran into some trouble running through Africa because not everybody was happy to see Russ, you know? Russ was coming in there. He got robbed in Angola at gunpoint. He got held up in Namibia with some food poisoning. He also had to get stopped in the Republic of Congo where he was accosted by men with machetes. And on his way to Algeria, he had to visit to get some medical coverage in there. So this was not the typical type of run, but nonetheless, he stayed on the mission. He was able to raise $900,000 for his running charity supporting young people experiencing homelessness. Kyle, what do you feel about hearing this harrowing journey from the bottom of Africa all the way up to the top by this man, Russ Cook?
I'm in the know of nonprofit organizations.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't got to go that hard to raise money, fam. 352 days. Now, when you said Russ Cook, immediately my mind went to a space. A ginger was not on my bingo list.
Salute to Russ Cook and him doing the work that he needs to do to raise his money on there. But
you wonder why he got jammed up?
That's what I was about to say. You might be able to put together, you connect the dot for people that they don't see. Man.
He should have been running in Ireland somewhere trying to find the luck of the Irish and the rainbow and the leprechaun at the end of it. That's why he got jammed up. He looked like a colonizer.
What? I just got to report it to you how it's happening, Kyle. You know, he ran from tip to tip to raise money. That was a good side of it.
Anybody that has 352 days to dedicate to running from the bottom to the top of a country got way too much time on their hands, fam.
Well, Kyle, in this last story, we're starting to see a pushback to people feeling like the culture of wellness and reaching perfection is a little too high. So I do want to come out of that, somebody who's working out and running literally at the risk of their own lives and anything else for almost a year straight. 68% of people are now starting to show in the U.S. that they don't want the perfection ideation that wellness has been pushing before. And, you know, some of that perfectionist values have been more toxic than beneficial. Would you say yes to that?
100%.
So most people, it turns out, are looking for change inside the culture of wellness. And it's up to 76% of the people surveyed have said that, you know, I just want to feel good and I want to move good. I don't necessarily need to be able to run 365 days consecutively. I don't need to washboard abs. I don't need to try to starve myself to get some unrealistic image. I really want to strive for success, but also maintain guilt-free happiness, Kyle. So now the trend is starting to move further and further away from this unrealistic Spartan-like view of what fitness needs to be. And people just want to enjoy life, kind of like we've been talking about for the longest time, Kyle. So arguing that, you know, people are still concerned with health and wellness, but not going into the direction of being perfect about it What's your thoughts on this trend now starting to move people towards enjoying more life and finding a new definition for what wellness is?
I'm here for a redefinition of what wellness means for people that need that redefinition. Tangentially, there's been this huge uprising of big back culture tones. And when I say big back, what comes to mind?
That is a very specific term. Unbig your back. Something that you would hear in the Carib massive household, you know?
Yeah. So big back culture is really taking a storm on internets. And the root of it is people do want to live that non-guilt lifestyle that you just talked about, right? Like, I want to be able to be healthy enough to eat the things that I want to eat consciously and not have to think about it being life-threatening dessert, right? A life-threatening delicacy of like, damn, like I really enjoy a nice cheesecake, but is this cheesecake going to continue to raise my cholesterol and my high blood pressure?
Well, that's the burden of having more information, right? You can't live at this day and age in 2024 as an adult. You can't live without consequence. So although I do agree that the idea of perfection is a trap in and of itself, there's also something to be said about when the pendulum swings in the opposite direction and just being like, you know what? I am perfectly fine doing everything that I want because it makes me feel good. It's like, I don't know if those two narratives are going in the same direction of what I would say overall betterment is, right? There has to be, if the extremes are the only sides that we ever hear from the argument, people in the middle who actually make sense are, you know, people that we tend not to get the best information from, right? So in all this polarization that you see inside there, you're starting to see the reflections happen in wellness companies. I don't know if you've noticed some of the advertisements or some of the marketing campaigns that you've seen recently about wellness companies specifically. They don't look like they did 10 years ago.
Definitely not.
They don't even do the same food layouts that you would see in certain restaurants like they used to 10 years ago, you know? So you're starting to see these trends show that this is what people want, this is what they enjoy, and also I'm aware that I need to be better, but I feel, I would say honestly, conflicted about what I want to do in order to get better.
Better is subjective to everybody.
It is.
Right? Like there's some people that are in better spaces than others. So when you're striving for better, it's going to be individual to everybody. And I think as long as you continue to elevate whatever that lane is, whatever that runway you have to play with of better, then that's when you're going to be in a good spot because you're not as worse as you used to be.
You have to maintain realistic expectations. If you want to enjoy your slice of cake, you should do so guilt-free. Just also know what it costs you. You know, if you want to get a slab of ribs, enjoy the hell out of those ribs, wherever you need to be.
Sauce so good, make you want to slap your mama.
Also know that what that comes with. At the end of the day,
brothers, barbecue.
You gotta pay the toll to go across that bridge, man. I ain't judging. I'm just here to lay out the facts.
Pay your fare.
So you do what you need to do with them. That's going to be it from my side of this week's Rip from the Headline. Jones, what did you see in these wellness streets?
Man, I mean, that was good, bad, and ugly. Every week is something new with you, man.
The good was really good, though. You got to get the applause for that one. Round of applause.
I'm struggling to find some good this week. It's been rough. You know, I keep my ear to the streets in a lot, and I've been having my eye on Nike and this basketball shoe and the basketball lane that they used to occupy.
Okay.
Growing up, I felt like they had a chokehold on what basketball sneakers were, and then you had those superstars that would randomly get like the Pony deal or like the Converse deal, like, but it was never quite like Nike and Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, Nike unveiled a new logo for Vincent Wembanyama.
Yes.
Did you see the logo?
Yeah, the alien one, yeah?
Yes.
I like it.
Now, I was conflicted.
Why?
I'm like, I get it. This is a very unique individual. That doesn't mean it's an alien, right? Like, you calling him an alien further makes me believe he was genetically created in a lab.
We're slow rolling this out in 2024. We're doing the X-Files reveal.
At what point are we going to just pull the wool from over our eyes? But oh yeah, he's actually an alien. We created him. That's why he's so good. Like, fam, like I don't know how much I can continue to take in a slow roll and cool logos and just keep buying it.
We're normalizing alien culture, man. You know, everybody gets to be whatever they want to be. Aliens exist. That's happening.
I do know they exist. They here, they for real. I just don't want them to be kicking it with me in line at a coffee shop.
Nah, yo.
I don't want that to be reality.
Men in
right?
Black is a real thing.
I liked where they took the logo. It was innovative in its look, but the AI mock-up of the shoes that they made for him, that's where you lost me. But the good was I was a fan of the logo.
Have you seen the Zion Z Jordans?
That's where I'm going to slide out of that.
I was like, compared to that, we are leaps and bounds in a better direction.
They never really wanted Zion, and one day we're going to talk about that. They just kept feeding him food.
Now the joy.
I feel like they just locked that man to a bed when he not playing basketball.
Oh, he's locked to a bed, all right, but
With
that's for a
room
whole
service.
different
Yeah.
situation.
Him and his adult lady. That's a wild choice too. But we not even going to unpack his choice in women because he's lacking the OG. We going to get into some food crimes again this week, Brother Tone. Now, you know me. I'm always got my ear to the streets, and I'm always looking for what's happening next. Now, as I show you this video, it is about the ice cream that we all grew, knew, and loved called a drumstick, Tone.
That's aggressive. I don't know if I'm going in that direction, but okay.
But you remember the drumstick culture back in the day. It was like a Nestle, it came in the box.
I'm familiar with the ice cream cone.
It was in the ice cream aisle, right?
Yeah,
it
for sure.
was one of those things where, like, you don't go out of your way for a drumstick, but if somebody offer you one, you ain't going to turn them down.
Again, I've never been that guy, but I appreciate it.
Now, the controversy is someone was like, yo, I took my drumstick out from the freezer for 24 hours and it didn't melt. And they're trying to figure out, well, if it's ice cream, shouldn't it melt? And because it's not melting, what's going on? And I'm here to tell these folks that, fam, it has been that way since McDonald's. Like, you know, you put any of those packaged processed foods out and nothing's going to happen to it because it's not real. I don't know how we keep getting back to this point.
This is not a big travesty to me because, again, my life will never be impacted by this. But,
of course, I was never going on my way to buy drumsticks.
But it's also something to
unless we're talking chicken. You know what I'm saying?
That's the only drumstick.
And then we're going to talk about New York chicken.
We don't have to talk about New York chicken.
Because
we
they
really
don't give you the other part of the wing. They just give you the bicep like the elbow wasn't there. It's like, fam, that's a wing. That's how it go. You don't take
you need
that
the whole
off.
thing?
Yeah, yes, I need the whole thing. I paid for it.
All right. So on your next podcast, Food Crimes with Jones,
We're going to talk about drumsticks.
We're going to talk about the drumstick.
Yes.
And the full breakdown with that, right?
Okay, listen.
But the bigger part that I wanted to come through, everybody on TikTok is fascinated about stuff that really should be like kind of common sense to you.
Listen,
like,
bro.
Yo, check this out.
I'm just relaying the message.
Nestle's been lying to you. Quick ain't quick either.
Whole time.
It's like,
You know what I'm saying?
that rabbit on the side of the bottle,
Yeah.
he ain't really up to no
Silly
good.
rabbit.
The
Tricks on
for
you.
kids. How many rabbits did they roll out for us in childhood?
We was putting that
Selling
little,
garbage, yo.
that little powder in the drink for chocolate milk for far too long.
That's what I'm trying to say.
The Nesquik rabbit, that was never cocoa powder. I don't know what that was.
And so that's my point. It was like if
It
you
was
think
cocaine.
if you think their biggest travesty started with the drumstick, let me go back through the Nestle whole bottle and water kind of situation. You're
Yeah,
gonna
man.
see a lot more dark than good before you get there.
For me, it was just more so bringing light to things that we should not be buying at all. Like, I don't even know how these companies still stay in business, but to see people continue to highlight things that, like you said, should be common sense is always going to be hysterical to me and fall into the bad categories.
I'm just kind of like, how did these companies never have to square up? Because we had the Trix Rabbit, the Nestle Quick Rabbit, they had Roger Rabbit, they had Bugs Bunny.
Don't forget about the monkeys in the tang.
I didn't even know where you was coming from. I was just looking at all rabbits right now.
Yeah. I'm just giving you the rest of the animals that was out there.
They was throwing a bunch of rabbits at us, man. It was like, yo, how you get that off with nobody suing anybody, man? But, I digress.
That's how it happens, man, that quick. So we got to get into the ugly. Now, the ugly, I feel like I've showed you this before, but I'm going to pull it up again. Now, this is the bike simulation.
Yes, I'm very familiar.
Now, can you just give the listeners out there, paint the picture of what it is that you're looking at?
So they were trying to put out a training for drivers to get a simulation of how it felt to pass a cyclist on the road, and it is extremely close that they're cutting in with these buses. So they're trying to get the bus drivers to have a little bit more empathy for passing cyclists on the road. And the near-death experiences is something that nobody has to tell me about on the bike, my man.
It struck me because it's a simulation, right? This isn't real life. But if you then are put in a situation that you put people in every day, unbeknownst to how it actually feels, I do think that there is value that could be in there somewhere, right? Like in just the idea of trading places, putting your feet in someone else's shoes for a change. I'm like, this is a great idea. The application of this idea, or execution, I should say, fam, I don't ever want to be on a stationary bike outside riding or having a bus ride past me. Like, no. That just seems crazy.
Yeah, it's not good. It's definitely something that brings up, like I said, a lot of real life situations that people have to deal with, especially riding around in urban populations. So anything that'll give drivers a little bit more empathy to that, I got to salute to that. But yeah, I don't condone the passing on that side, man. But it does give me a little bit of a tangent. And I want to talk about this cyclist meme that I saw.
Okay.
So I got to shout out to the good brother Ed, love yours out there, man. I saw him in a post he put up on his Instagram, a meme that was talking about how cyclists start or turn to riding their bike to get mental health. And it was like something along the lines of, yo, I started riding my bike to get mental health and all I got was fast, but I'm still sad. And I was looking at it like, yo, one, that hit way too close to home. Shit is bad funny. And way too many people I hear, especially on the men's side of the game, talk about they hit the road, start cycling for their mental health specifically. Now, that's a sentiment that I know and understand.
Yeah.
And I know that we've had many a days, many a times, many a deep conversation riding out, getting on the bike, you know, working through whatever problems and then sitting on the river and talking through that shit, right? It's not mental health, though. That's the act of cycling does have some physical benefits to give you a little bit more, you know, expression inside of the dopamine side. You know, you get your hormones going, you get your blood flowing. It will make you feel better in the instant. But the riding itself doesn't give you the tools to unpack whatever the situation is that you're going through. And I do just want to highlight the fact that if we all feel that, we need to start talking about spaces where we can get that kind of work and that kind of tooling positioned for the riding community specifically. So sorry to go on that little tangent, but you brought it up and it kind of refreshed my memory along that spot. So shout out to the homie Ed. And again, we got to do better for this community, Kyle. We got to uplift the mental health for the riding community.
I would agree to that. I'm not going to touch it just yet. I'm going to tie it into this Raising the Bar segment. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all type from near and far, now I'm still to raise your bar. Now, Brother Tone,
yes, sir.
Literally piggybacking off of what we just talked about the mental health and taking the tools to work on your own shit, essentially, right? Like, what's in your toolbox to help you when this problem arises? What's in your toolbox to help you when you got some negative self-talk going on and you don't believe in yourself and you've got a bunch of things to execute that you're falling short on? It got me into thinking about the week and just observing. I'm a Virgo, you know what I'm saying? Whatever that means to you and those folks out there, but I'm observant. Like, that's just something I can't turn off.
Okay.
And throughout my day-to-day, I think there's an overall just level of consideration that has been lost for individuals, for people, all the above. Like, it's just one of those things that has really harshly impacted everyone. I want to say since the pandemic, and we've lost that social element of how to actually interact with one another,
Absolutely.
How to be cordial, how to just do something for the sake of, you know, doing something.
The loneliness epidemic is a real thing, my friend.
Man, it's craziness out here. And there were these instances in which I'm like, am I bugging? Like, I'm in the grocery store the other day, and if I have to say anything, I want to say that, like, spatial awareness is number one on my, you gonna get an elbow to you real quick if you don't respect my boundaries. But I feel like spatial awareness as a whole in a space like New York City is crazy, right? There's congestion. You're not courteous of where you're at. Second, driving in the streets, bro. You know how many people double park or like Ubers that don't have common sense to like pull over and like let you out where there's a space to let someone out, as opposed to just holding up traffic because this person has to get out right here where they like, it seems crazy. Last part of this would be coffee shop, Tone. there's a line, right? Much like certain things that we don't have to talk about, like leaving a message on the answer machine. That used to be etiquette, right? You could call me back at ba 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 ba, and then the last 4 digits, right? There was a flow. You don't just zip through. You can call me at 647-970. Like, you're never going to get a call back.
1-800-223-9797.
You get what I'm saying? That's never going to happen. There was a way that things had to be done, much like in a coffee shop. If I'm in line, if I feel you on the back of my neck, you're too close, man. You know what I'm saying? You need to back. And I'm in all of this, right? You know me. I'm the spiritual advisor of the Off the Strength podcast. I like to keep my cool until I ain't, and then I got to erupt.
I got to remind you that you're cool. It's very hard to find sometimes.
Nah, man, it's never that.
Words
it's always
mean stuff.
It's always here, man. Cool as a cucumber on the other side of the pillow. So with that being said, it allowed me to sit back and analyze, am I the problem, right? Or my expectations too high to think that I'm courteous enough to hold the door for someone when they're coming out, or open the door, or let in a car from traffic, or give myself 3 to 4 feet of space in between the person in front of me at the coffee shop so that they can just do whatever they need to do.
My immediate answer is yes.
It's me?
Yes.
I'm the problem, right? How much a dollar costs? It costs $1. I just found out right now.
Immediate yes.
Damn, man. So with that, right, my question to you would then be, when you find yourself being constantly let down, if you will, right? And I know this is something that you've talked about before, but putting the framework around what you think things should be as opposed to what they are, how do you deal with that disappointment in between?
Yeah. So first things first, I only say that you are the problem because you have a level of expectation that doesn't match the reality that the world is, right?
Yeah.
So common sense is not common.
But how do we get this far off?
Because people spent 3 years.
There used to be a universal level of common sense. Okay.
If people spent 3 years disassociating themselves from normal social behavior, you can't just expect everybody to go back to normalized social behavior. We have eradicated what most people would call common sense. And then if you also go through eradicating what words mean, you eradicate what expectation is, and everybody has the perspective to do their favorite thing at 100% of the time, you're going to run into some issues, right? So everybody conveniently can go back home and be in their own little bubble for 90% of the time. It's only about a good 10% that you have to go outside and be in a space of interaction with other people today. Now, the less actual interaction that you have with people, when you do have to interact with people, the weirder you're going to fucking be. That's just an expectation in the world. So I don't know why most people do that, because I've also lived long enough to not have had that period and that experience of time be that impactful on me. The other part, I was social throughout that whole thing. So I never really had isolation, complete isolation. But you are dealing with, in the new world, people who have been completely isolated all the way through those last few years. And yes, Kyle, there are detriments that happen because of that.
Now, my follow-up would be, then where are the checks and balances, right? Like, where's the course correction for someone who clearly needs a refresher on what the social norm should be?
There is no social norm, is what I'm trying to tell you. You cannot have when you change.
So that concept will never exist again, much like gender neutralities. Like we just
what
here
does that mean?
In the abyss of nothingness.
You're saying words with expectation to somebody that means something at the other end of those words. And I'm telling you right now.
So at the end of the day,
when I start changing one word,
do whatever.
I start changing all words, right? And I'm not saying I feel personally swayed either way. I know how I'm going to work, and I know how I'm going to operate. This happened today specifically on the space thing inside the gym. I'm working out. I got the nice little suspension trainer. You know, I was working out with the On the Move bag by Off the Strength because that's the preferred suspension trainer for any stylish cyclist out there. You know, you got to be both able to, show up fashionably, but also get the best dynamic workout that you can have. You want to go with the On the Move bag by Off the Strength, right? So as I'm working out with the On the Move bag, somebody starts to work out right next to me. And they're like, hey, man, you mind if I work out over here? I'll say, hey, you can do whatever you want. Just realize if you encroach on my space, I'm going to have a problem with you at a certain point. Hey, do whatever you feel like you feel confident in doing.
Can you just give us a square footage of your gym?
It was so much space. It's absurd how much space this place has.
Yeah.
So the fact that I'm working out on this tiny little thing, right? I'm working out in a good 6 by 8 feet of space, which is more than enough space around me for what I'm using, because again, I'm using a wide range of motion. I'm doing all the rest of that stuff. And somebody decided to park right next to me and just start doing some kind of clown shit. And I'm like, hey, he said, hey, you mind if I work out here? I said, hey, I don't care. But if you do run into any of the stuff that I'm doing, know that I will have a problem with you. So I offer that as a lens to you, Kyle. You can't expect people to know your boundary before you give it to them.
Okay.
And the best way to adjust their behavior is to let them know there's real consequence at the end of this boundary. Hey, by the way, you might not be playing at the same level.
So it's not a verbal threat. It's just more of
I'm just letting you know
statement.
what consequences and repercussions are. Now, if you want to jump rope right next to me while I'm doing this, hey, I'm not going to react properly. If this hits me, I know how I'm going to act. You might not be ready for that reaction, but I'm telling you right now that reaction is not going to be the one that you want.
By a jump rope
in the middle of something that
by a person that ain't the same skin complexion as me is going to send me to a place.
And that's why he decided not to work out there, Kyle. So this is what I'm trying to tell you. The restoration of humanity and that common sense.
It starts with a conversation.
It starts with conversation.
Establishing boundaries.
You have to let people know.
Let you know there's a clear cause and effect.
Hey, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be a really nice guy. You know what's going to make me not feel nice? If you do something that I'm sure that you could have avoided doing, and I feel the consequence of that, you're going to feel the consequence of me feeling that consequence. So do with that what you will. And we can move forward.
I don't see how that's any different than any of the threats that I've said out there.
It wasn't a threat.
Okay.
This is cause and effect. I'm just letting you know, because you did
causality.
this, I'm going to affect the rest of your day. That's it.
Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, you have it. That is Tony, a trainer called Tony Vidal on the Off the Strength podcast.
Of your physical ability to make it through the rest of your day will definitely be impeded by your actions right now.
So it sounds like you need to relax, Tony.
I was always relaxed.
So go ahead and let the good people know how you relaxed this week as we slide into our Relax Responsibly segment.
Yeah, man. So in that same kind of vein of energy, like in all honesty, understanding how to navigate around people is something that is a underappreciated quality. In all honesty, it does not come naturally to everybody. So, you know, taking the let's say the abrasive side out of that and away from that, I take relaxation and confidence in I could be in any room and be able to operate the same way as the same person, never have to code switch, adjust, or anything. I know how to play up.
How long did it take you to get to that point, though?
I am fully almost 40, bro. It's like the number of fucks that I have.
But understanding that everybody, knowing that everybody doesn't have that, like, is it just age that gets you to that point, or can you get there without it?
I think that's a factor, but it's really about the confidence and understanding and the work that you do on knowing yourself. So to management of expectation of other disappointment, that's one part of the stuff that you were talking about in your in the Raising the Bar segment. I can't help but have high level appraisal for the people that I genuinely care about in all the aspects of my life. And because I have lived enough life, I know that expectation, experience, and output are not all on the same line.
Yeah.
That's the quickest way for you to be upset is for you to try to manage somebody else's output. The quickest way for you to be upset is for you to have a high level of expectation on anything. And I'm not putting that on anybody specifically or personally. I wish you could have done X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
You know how many people I've seen sitting on the sidelines waiting for somebody to come to their basketball game and they never come because they put that expectation so high? You know how many people I've seen waiting for that phone call to that person that you really hit it off with last week, but they ain't never call you back?
They gonna call me.
Hello.
Yeah.
So there's so many different spaces that I've observed that same reaction from. If you do put that level of expectation in casual interactions, it's just going to be the same kind of
self-inflicted pain, essentially.
Right? So you can ever only manage your level of expectation. So that's why I try to go out of my way to help people manage expectation based off of what I'm saying. Because I'm committed to living in truth, it doesn't come with any extra baggage. Now, it might be upsetting to hear it at first. Hey, listen, this is not what I'm going to do. Or, hey, listen, this is what I'm going to do. And that's that. At this 37, I don't have the extra baggage. The extra baggage comes from me trying to manage some shit that I'm afraid that's going to happen or some shit that has already happened.
Trying to land softly.
And no, I just want to, hey, I'm going to put this out here because I don't have the energy to lie. This is where I'm at. This is what this is
We supposed
about.
to be talking about relaxation, brother.
Yes.
How we get there?
All of this, because
Okay.
I was just bringing it back to the management of expectation. Letting go of that is relaxing in and of itself. The understanding of how to navigate in the room and knowing that most people can't do that is something that's empowering. And you have to use the skills that you have naturally in life to their highest hilt. Otherwise, you're doing your best work a disservice. That indecision that occurs in between there, like, I have this ability, but I'm choosing not to do that. I think that's the biggest crime that we commit often in that whole pursuit for advancement. So I say all of that to say, landing it back to what is relaxation, being in a room, holding space and holding court the way that feels right. It doesn't feel performative, but it also feels like this is easy and comfortable, and I can see the discomfort in a lot of other people. It's relaxing being there and feeling completely yourself. And knowing that I could keep showing up in other spaces and be completely myself, that's the ultimate level of relaxation.
I would agree to that. I do find solace in being able to authentically show up in whatever the situation that presents me, just because, you know what I mean? I am who I am. My name is my name, Tony.
Yeah, I'm definitely there for it, man.
Now, my relaxation this week came at the expense of a documentary.
Okay. What was we looking? What was some baseball dudes doing this week, man?
I was looking at the Freaknik documentary, actually.
Okay. I definitely saw that. That's a different game being played.
On Hulu, you know. Now,
shout out to Uncle Luke. Shout out to
we
Jermaine
in Miami,
Dupri.
too. You know. Now, I was shocked to understand the true inner workings and the development of what we know as Freaknik.
Yeah.
If I just say that, ignorant me would have just assumed, oh, that's ass shaking, the parade down the block in Atlanta, they giving it up, filthy, girls going wild, but the black version, less rapey, you know what I'm saying? All of the above, like, kinda.
Okay.
Was word I had. So watching this documentary, I was like, oh, let's go back to the beginning. Now, if I tell you, well, you've seen the documentary.
Yes, sir.
All right, never mind. So I ain't going to ask you the questions about it, but I was shocked to see that Freaknik wasn't as scandalous in the beginning as people thought it would be.
Not at all.
Right? Like the name itself, the freak part actually came from the dance, the freak, from the song Le Freak from Chic. You know what I'm saying?
Freak out.
You know, a little disco. You think about, you know,
Say
going OG Travolta. You know what I'm saying? Like you taking a finger from the bottom to the top. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Nothing
a whole
crazy.
different game.
But when you get into the Nick part, of course, that was the picnic. You had to get away from the word picnic because there was so many racial implications that's still there to this day of what it really means. Go back and look at the derivative of that.
We want to take that back, but it's never going anywhere.
It's
fam.
never going to go
You got to
anywhere.
give up some of these fights, bro. I just got to be honest with you.
Nonetheless, I was like, that title came from the DC Metro Club. The DC Metro Club was the club on campus that was a part of the city club. So each city had their own club and chapters, much like you get Greek organizations back in the day. It's real collegiate stuff. Like, I was a part of the Black Student Union in college, and I think that might have been it. Like, I did intramurals and sports like that, but it's a part of being a part of the community in the fabric of your campus culture. And this happened to be in Atlanta in the AUC, where there's so many schools per capita that it just makes its own community.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this like, damn, that's crazy. Like, of course, you get later down the line into the scandalousness of it all. But ultimately, it started off as just a way to gather and travel for spring break specifically. So it allowed me to reminisce on my college days. I can't imagine being in college in the 80s or the 90s for that matter, but I do want to bring back a good pajama jammy jam, Tone. I feel like we're missing out on those.
We got to rethink that. It's got to be a pajama jammy jam brought to you in part by Hassan Insane himself. We're going to call it Silks and Slippers.
Okay.
Very big TLC energy in there.
Boats and hoes.
Yeah. We figure out a way to make that work. But in 2024, you also got to put very specific language on the invite, man.
Yeah, man.
It's got to get real specific. Otherwise, it could get real crazy, bro.
Sliding out of that.
You know what? That always made me want to have a different type of college experience, bro. My college experience was not any of this stuff.
But you was a college hopper, though. You was in and out.
Because I was in college as a professional. It was like, yo, I'm here to get this transaction done so I can get outside and make some money. This is really the only reason why I went there.
Did you ever live on campus?
No, I never had the college experience. And
you ain't never really get the real.
I mean, I had some fun outside of school, bro.
Of course. I mean, I know you did.
I did my own.
But
my
there's
own
something about living in on-campus housing that is so specific of an experience that like only those that went away and lived on campus would understand.
Yeah, if I had to do it all over, I probably would go to a HBCU because this documentary did bring that energy out too, where it's just kind of like, yo, we all from different places, but we all sharing the same experiences before the big money started coming in and before all the rest of that stuff. You know, so the understanding of heritage, bonding, and like just really communal aspects at that age, everybody trying to be in school, like I kind of have a appreciation for that just was not reflective of what my college experience was.
For sure.
You know, so I always do appreciate that. And at the same time, fam, I was in and out. I was on a mission. I was like, yo, I need to get out of the school as quick as possible so I can start to get this money back in.
I was very anti HBCU because of my hometown. Being from Baltimore, I was like, fam, Baltimore is a HBCU, right? It's a historically black universe of black people. You get what I'm saying? Like,
I don't think that's the same thing.
All right, it's not the same thing by any means. But having that as my main surrounding, I wanted to see something outside of just people that look like me, thus coming to New York to this melting pot of a space of like, all right, cool, this is some space that I could get to.
It was less about people that look like me, more about people that look like me that want to achieve like me. And I think that's a huge difference.
That wasn't even a thought in my mind.
But this is why I'm saying, if I had to rethink it and like reappraise it, it's like, no, looking like the person is one level of reflection that I say I had a healthy amount of experience with that.
Yeah.
I want to be, if I could go retroactively back, in the same room of the same people that want to learn the same things, have the same opportunity outside of that. Because there is something to be said about the relationships that you build there. And in that shared spirit, I feel like some of those networks are just a little bit more intertwined than at least what my college experience was like.
The last thing I'm going to speak on this college experience, this quick little anecdote. I had a roommate of mine, shout out to the homie Sherrod, and famously, you know, we talked about pranks and where pranks used to go, you know, back in the day, yada, yada, yada. So Sherrod had a snoring problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is back when the rooms had 3 people in there and it was tight, and he just used to, he would let it fly at night. Like, sounded like a whale or something, hibernating for sure. So there was often pranks that would, you know, happen where, you know, I would try to wake him up or, you know, do things of that nature. I forget what it was that I did, but I can only think about the retaliation that took place. So I'm in the shower. This is when you had community showers, fam. Like, college dorm living was just...
I never had that.
It was wild. The community shower was in the bathroom. You had the stalls in the beginning, then you had the showers in the back. It was like, let's say like 4 showers in a row, a curtain, yada, yada, yada. You share it with the whole floor. So I lived on the 11th floor. 11th floor had maybe 12, maybe 15 rooms on the floor that all shared this one bathroom. I'm in the shower and you could see, like, it was so small and intimate that like you knew who was who on the floor and you knew who was in the shower. So I'm in the middle. It's a dude behind me that was on the track team. He was lame. I'm like, oh yeah, I know what that is. This is lame ass Eric. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in the shower, and over top of the shower comes this white powder that is flour, right? And I'm
this
like,
sounds crazy on there.
I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it's flour, and in my mind immediately, I'm like, this wasn't meant for me. This is meant for lame ass Eric. Who did this to me? So in the moment, it's like, fam, you getting flour thrown over top of you from the shower. There's nothing you can do but wash it off. Like, you can't really. There's nothing else I can do but be a cake in that moment. So I wash it off, get out the shower to later find out that it was my roommate and fam. Like, it was so good of a prank that I ain't have nothing to retaliate with. Like, I ain't want no more smoke based upon the level of which he took it. That was like the college experience, you know what I mean? And watching this documentary took me back to memories like that.
That's hysterical.
Shout out to Lame Eric. I spent
lame Eric.
Lame ass Eric, bro. I thought it was meant for him for sure. I was like, oh man, not me. Me? It's crazy.
I never had that level of experience. But I will say, like, at football camp, there's definitely, like, some war stories that happen with planks going wrong.
Well, y'all lost some kids for sure.
Well, I mean, that did happen one year, but this was not that same year. This was a different time. It's a different place. Again, growing up in the 90s, you just had a different level of life expectation, Kyle. There was...
everybody knew somebody that died at a young age just because, you know.
There was a time that we went away to football camp, and legitimately, on the first night, one of the guys is in the barracks or whatever in the shower, and somebody took his whole luggage bag and dumped it inside the shower when he was there.
A murder has to happen.
The level of fight that broke out throughout the whole situation.
Because if something like that goes down,
he just came out swinging.
Everybody's getting it.
That's exactly
because if you're not about to step up, then all of y'all did it. That's it. It ain't an individual. You ain't gonna tell me who did it. Then everybody did it.
That's what it was.
That's the only way that turns out, fam. There's no other way. And then we talk about the course correction. That's the course correction right there. It's like, oh, y'all seen him do it and didn't stop
this
him?
Is funny?
So all of y'all,
on everybody.
all of y'all are worthy of this ass whooping.
Hilarity and melee ensued. So, and that was not the first fight.
I understand that.
Or that might have been the first fight, but it wasn't the last fight during that camp.
For sure.
I digress.
Sounds like you're hopeful for something, Tony. What are you hopeful for that you can bless the people with present day?
Well, Kyle, I am hopeful to be in a position where I can be more decisive.
Okay.
In my actions and my thoughts that are going to lead into the next chapters of evolution in my personal development.
Okay.
In my spiritual development.
All right.
And in the relationships with the people that I have in my life. That's what I'm hoping for, my brother.
Sound like you really write that down. Like you prayed for that, you know?
You asked me where my hope was, man. I had to give it to you. From
you
the
used
heart.
to pray for times like this,
Is there a
like
heart?
this. Oh, stop it right now. Stand up!
What are you hopeful for this week, man?
That the 5 Heartbeats get back together and really send a world tour out. No, I am hopeful myself for continuing to manage my own expectation of other people.
There we go.
Right? I think a lot of times there's just certain shit I wouldn't do, you know? And that's not the same line of thought for everybody. And holding that expectation for other people will continuously let you down. So being able to reset what it means to interact with people, I think it is a great way for me to start and not continue to let myself down, let Nas down, let anybody else down for that.
Just don't let Jones down, man. That's the most important part right there.
That part. You won't catch me apologizing after a diss track either.
I mean, well, listen, man, if they had to catch you,
yeah,
where would they be able to find you?
At KR Jones. Or if you want to get up with the both of us, man, you can visit Instagram at _. If you're in the greatest city in the world, sometimes, that is New York City. Come on down.
We going further down on that list of cities. New York is dropping at an alarming rate.
Drastically. Come on down to Rockefeller Center, right? And that's where you can see us at Newsstand Studios. If you can't make it there, you can visit us on Instagram at Rockefeller Center or Twitter at Rock Center NYC.
That's right. And of course, we are brought to you in part by Bryant Perkins and I Did That Productions. Brother Jones, is there any other words that you want to leave these good people with this week?
Wash your hands. It's cold and flu. Well, no, it's not cold and flu. It's pollen season now.
Pollen is out there.
Pollen is out.
What's good, everybody? I'm a trainer called Tony, and I am here from the infamous Off the Strength podcast, asking you today, listeners, viewers, wherever you may be, to please like, listen, and subscribe to our podcast. This is how we're going to continue to be able to deliver you the best goddamn wellness information out here. So if you want to keep hearing this and you want us to keep growing, you are a part of this show just as much as anything else. So please go to offthestrength.com. Make sure you check out our blogs. Make sure you check us out on IG. And if you're hearing this voice and you didn't hit that subscribe button, know that Kyle is going to come looking for you.
You got that right.